She asked for time to heal and disappeared with her ex. But when I changed the locks, she screamed, "You'll regret this." 1 week later, a detective called me about her abuse allegation. The last text my girlfriend sent me before vanishing was, "Please don't contact me. I need space to heal." 3 days later, a photo popped up on my feed, her smiling in a beach cabana wrapped in her ex-husband's arms. "Hi, I'm Callan. I'm 31. I work in cybersecurity, mostly from home, and I've always been the kind of person who respects boundaries, but nothing could have prepared me for how those same boundaries would be weaponized against me. For the last 16 months, I'd been living with my girlfriend, Zoe. She's 29, works in fashion PR, and had recently finalized a messy divorce when we met. She was fragile, guarded, but charming. I thought I could be her safe place. I should have known from the beginning. No one should fall for someone still unpacking their emotional baggage. But I did, completely. Zoe moved into my one-bedroom apartment 8 months after we started dating. I didn't ask for rent because she was getting back on her feet, and I could cover the bills just fine. I wanted her to feel secure, not obligated. I bought her a new mattress, added her name to the Wi-Fi account, and helped her redo the closet because she needed more space. Funny, right? 6 months ago, her old car finally gave out. She was devastated, said she couldn't afford a new one and needed it for work meetings. So I used a good chunk of my savings to buy a certified pre-owned Honda CR-V. It wasn't flashy, but it was reliable. The title, insurance, and financing were all in my name. I handed her the keys like I was giving her a future. "You didn't have to do this," she whispered, eyes watery. "I've never had anyone support me like this before." And I believed her. God help me, I believed every word. Things were good for a while, or maybe I just thought they were. Looking back, she'd started pulling away little by little, spending more time at yoga, staying over at Maddie's place for girls' nights, getting distant after checking her phone. But I chalked it up to stress. Trauma. I didn't want to be another man who made her feel cornered. Then, 3 weeks ago on a random Tuesday night, I got the text. "Callan, I'm overwhelmed. I need to take some time to process everything. Please don't contact me. I'll reach out when I'm ready." No fight, no explanation, just that, cold, clean, final. I sat in our apartment, no, my apartment, holding my phone like it had just delivered a death sentence. For 2 days, I barely slept. I kept replaying everything in my head. What did I miss? What did I do wrong? I didn't reach out. I respected her request, even though every part of me screamed for answers. Friday night, I opened Instagram for the first time since the text, mostly to numb myself. I wasn't even thinking about Zoe, until I saw her tagged in a story from someone I didn't recognize. I clicked it. She was standing on a pier, wearing the white dress I bought her for her birthday. Wind in her hair, drink in her hand, smiling at the man holding her waist. I zoomed in. It was Micah, her ex-husband, the one who emotionally destroyed her. The one she swore she hadn't spoken to in over a year. The one whose name made her cry the first time she told me her story. I couldn't breathe. I scrolled further. More photos. Same guy, same tropical background. Hashtags like number healing vibes and number reconnecting. So that's what healing looked like. A resort vacation. With the man she'd told me broke her spirit, while I was here, respecting her boundaries like an idiot. At first, it wasn't anger. It was grief. The kind that hits your chest like a slow, crushing wave. Then came the disgust. Not just at her, but at myself. How blind I'd been. How much I'd given to someone who didn't even have the decency to end things properly. But the worst part? That car she drove to the airport? That car was mine. I checked the app I'd set up when I installed the GPS tracker under the dashboard, something I'd done months ago as a precaution when the catalytic converter thefts were happening in our area. It pinged. Airport long-term parking. And something in me snapped. You see, she didn't just disappear. She took pieces of my life with her. The car, the sense of home, my peace of mind, all while painting herself as someone who needed space to heal. So I made a decision. I wouldn't chase. I wouldn't fight. I'd reclaim. The next morning, I called a locksmith. Changed every lock, door, windows, even the code to the smart lock she used to disarm the security system. Cost me $280, but it was worth it. Then I took the spare key to the CR-V, drove to the airport lot, and picked it up. Driving that car back felt like lifting weights off my shoulders. I made one more stop, my trusted used car dealer 2 towns over. I explained the situation, showed them the title in my name, got an appraisal. They'd do a full inspection and make an offer by the end of the week. When I got back to the apartment, I stared at the spare toothbrush in the holder, her mug with the chipped handle, the us photo still on the fridge. I didn't touch anything yet. I wasn't ready to erase her, not completely. But I was ready for one thing. She would never walk back into this place like nothing happened. Because next time she tried that key, she'd find nothing but a locked door and an empty parking spot. Saturday passed in silence. I didn't hear from Zoe. No surprise there, she was probably still on some overpriced patio somewhere, sipping cucumber water and pretending her life wasn't a web of lies. But by Sunday night, the dealership had sent me their official offer for the car, $17,100. I accepted it instantly. That car had been the symbol of trust, of support, of the life I thought we were building. Reclaiming it felt like more than just selling a vehicle. It was me removing the pedestal I'd built beneath someone who never deserved it. I didn't block her. Not yet. Part of me still needed her to face this, to see the fallout of her own choices, to look me in the eye when the illusion shattered. She came back the following Tuesday. It was around 8:45 p.m. I was making tea, trying to wind down, when I heard the jangle of keys outside. Then, scrape. Scrape. Silence. Scrape again, harder this time. Then the knocking. "Callan, what the hell? My key's not working." I walked to the door slowly. My heart was pounding, but I kept my face neutral. I opened the door just a crack, the chain still on. Zoe stood there, suitcase beside her, cheeks tanned, hair perfectly curled. She looked annoyed. Not ashamed. Not even confused. Just annoyed. She blinked at me. "Did you change the locks?" I nodded. "I did." "Why would you do that?" she snapped, like I was the one being unreasonable. I took a slow breath. "You asked for space and no contact. I gave it to you. You also decided to spend that space on a beach with your ex. That told me everything I needed to know." Her jaw dropped. "It wasn't like that. You're jumping to conclusions. Micah and I, we're just friends now. I needed clarity and..." I cut her off. "And you got it, apparently. While using the car I paid for, sleeping in the apartment I furnished, and treating me like a placeholder." Zoe crossed her arms. "I didn't say we were over, Callan. I said I needed space." I almost laughed. "And in that space, you managed to fly across the country, cuddle your ex-husband, and post it on Instagram. Tell me, what part of that looks like healing to you?" Her face twisted. "Where's my car?" I stared at her. "Gone?" Her voice jumped an octave. "Gone? What do you mean, gone?" "I sold it," I said, calm as ever. "It's at a dealership, titles in my name, insurance in my name, loan in my name. You used it, you didn't own it." "You can't do that," she shrieked. "I made payments." "You contributed toward using it, Zoe. You didn't buy it. You didn't pay the insurance. You didn't make the down payment. You didn't sign the loan. You drove it for free for 6 months." She looked like she might explode. Then she actually pulled out her phone. "I'm calling the police. This is theft." I tilted my head. "Go ahead. Let them know your ex-boyfriend sold his car, changed the locks on his apartment, and is asking you to leave after you asked for space while vacationing with your ex-husband. I'll wait," she faltered. Her hand hovered over the screen, then dropped. "You're a vindictive asshole," she hissed. "No," I said quietly. "I'm just done being taken for granted." That's when the second voice appeared, from the stairwell behind her. "Is everything okay?" It was Maddie, her best friend, the one she always stayed with during her mental reset weekends. Guess what? She was holding a bag, and behind her, a guy, tall, maybe late 30s, holding Zoe's second suitcase. Zoe's eyes darted. "Maddie, just wait downstairs." But Maddie stepped closer. "Wait, this is how you left things? You didn't even tell him the truth?" Callan.exe stopped functioning. Zoe spun around. "Maddie, shut up!" Maddie ignored her. She looked at me. She never went on a solo healing trip. Micah paid for everything. He booked the resort. He even told her to block you completely if she wanted him to take her seriously again. I just stared. Maddie continued. "I thought she was honest with you. I didn't know you'd been ghosted. I never would have helped her pack if I'd known." Zoe lunged at Maddie, yanking her arm. "Are you seriously doing this right now?" Maddie yanked free. "You always use people, Zoe. Callan deserved better. You could have just ended it, but no. You had to keep the backup plan." The guy behind Maddie quietly set the suitcase down and walked back toward the street, clearly wanting no part of this circus. Zoe was seething. "You have no idea what we've been through, Maddie." "No," Maddie said, "but I know what you put him through." I stood frozen. Humiliation, vindication, and nausea fought for space inside my chest. Zoe turned back to me, tears threatening now, not from regret, but from being exposed. "Callan, please, just let me inside. We can talk." I shook my head. "Number, you made your choice, and I'm finally making mine." I closed the door, slowly, locked the deadbolt. My hands were shaking, but my spine was steel. Behind the door, I heard her cry. And for once, I didn't feel guilty. She cried, but it was too late. Because that night, I finally realized the truth. She didn't break my heart. She broke her own future. For the next 3 days, I didn't sleep much. It wasn't just the confrontation, the lies, or even the betrayal that kept replaying in my head. It was the fact that I hadn't seen it coming. I wasn't some naive 20-something. I'd built a career, a life, a home, and I let someone step into all of that and treat it like a short-term lease. And now, she was unraveling. After I shut the door on Zoe and Maddie exposed everything, I thought maybe that was the end. Maybe she'd vanish again, this time for good. I was wrong. Wednesday morning, I got a text from an unknown number. "You need to stop lying to people. You're destroying her. She's emotionally wrecked. Be decent, and at least let her get her things back properly." No signature, no explanation, but I knew that passive-aggressive tone like my own reflection. It was Brooke, Zoe's younger sister, the one who used to call me the safest guy she's ever been with. Guess that changed when the money stopped flowing? I replied with one sentence. "Her belongings will be packed and waiting in the entryway. She won't be entering this apartment again." No response. Fine by me. I spent the entire afternoon carefully boxing up her things. Clothes, books, framed photos, a few dishes she insisted on bringing from her old place. I didn't break anything. I didn't trash anything. But I wasn't going to sugarcoat this either. I left the boxes stacked by the door and sent a final message. "They'll be ready for pickup at 10 a.m. tomorrow. That's the window. After that, they're going to storage." No reply, until 10:03 the next morning. Knock, knock, knock. Not Zoe, not Brooke. Her mother, Karen. She stood on my doorstep wearing pearls and sunglasses like she was attending a funeral. Behind her, Brooke looked smug as ever. And in the backseat of their car, Zoe was barely visible, hunched behind the window like some misunderstood victim. I opened the door just enough to speak. Karen didn't wait. "Callan, this is not how civilized adults handle a breakup. This is cruel. You've locked her out of her own life." I looked her dead in the eye. "Karen, it was my apartment, my car, and my name on every single lease, title, and bill. She asked me not to contact her. I honored that. Then she disappeared with her ex-husband for 2 weeks." Karen sniffed. "You're twisting things." I stepped aside, motioning to the boxes. "Her things are right there. You can take them. You are not stepping past this doorway." Brooke scoffed. "So this is who you really are." I didn't even blink. "Number, this is who I became the second your sister decided I was plan B." Karen narrowed her eyes. "You'll regret this." I closed the door. But apparently they weren't done. Because that night, someone egged my car. Not the CR-V. That was gone. This was my car, my beat-up 2010 Camry. They didn't just egg it. They left a sticky note on the windshield. "Real men don't abandon women in pain." The handwriting? Absolutely Brooke's. No doubt in my mind. I filed a police report. The officer was sympathetic but honest. Unless I had camera footage, there wasn't much they could do. "Just document it," he said. So I did. And I started documenting everything else too. Every call, every text, every whisper of drama they tried to stir in our mutual circles. Turns out, Zoe had started reaching out to friends we both knew, telling them I'd evicted her while she was away grieving, that I stole her car, and that I was emotionally manipulative. I wasn't surprised when my old coworker Marcus messaged me. "Hey man, just saw Zoe's post. Did that really happen?" I sent him screenshots. The original text where she asked for space. Her vacation photos with Micah. The car title. Everything. Marcus replied a few minutes later. "Jesus. I'm sorry, man. She made it sound like you went full psycho." I wish I could say that was the worst of it. But then came the twist I didn't expect. Saturday morning, I got a knock at my door. Not Zoe, not Karen, not Brooke. Micah. Yeah, that Micah. I didn't open the door fully, just cracked it like I had with Zoe. He looked tired, pale. Not the golden god from the beach photos. "Hey, can we talk?" I stared at him. "About what?" He glanced over his shoulder, then leaned in. "I broke things off with her 2 days ago. She didn't take it well." I didn't say anything. "She's been showing up at my place," he continued, calling me nonstop, crying, screaming, threatening, stuff. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. He swallowed. "Because I think she's about to pull something. And I figured, you deserved a heads up." There was a silence between us, this strange, twisted bond of men who'd both believed the same woman's story. Then he added quietly, "She told me you hit her. That's why you kicked her out. That's what she's saying now?" I swear the floor dropped out beneath me. "What?" I said, my voice hoarse. "I don't believe it," he said quickly. "But people are starting to ask. I just thought you should know." And with that, he turned and left. I stood there frozen, heart racing, hands shaking. She wasn't just spinning a story now. She was rewriting reality, and I'm still trying to process what that means. What she's capable of. How close I came to building a life with someone who could lie like that, without blinking. If you've ever been in a situation where someone used your kindness as leverage, If you've ever been painted as the villain in a story you didn't even know was being told, please share it. Not for sympathy, but because I don't want to feel this alone anymore. After Micah showed up at my door and dropped that bomb, she's telling people you hit her. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there in the dark, listening to the hum of my old air purifier, feeling like my life had slipped into some alternate universe. I wasn't just the guy who got ghosted. I wasn't just the guy who sold the car. Now I was the abuser in someone else's twisted fiction. And the scariest part? Some people were starting to believe it. By Monday, whispers had made their way through the edges of our mutual social circles. My inbox, once full of silent friends watching the drama unfold, started pinging with vague, uncomfortable messages. Hey man, just checking in. Everything okay? I know there's always two sides, but no one outright accused me, but the tone had changed. From quiet sympathy to cautious distance, it was like they were waiting to see which version of me would crack first. The calm, collected Callan they knew, or the villain Zoe was crafting from scraps of half-truths and performative grief. So I did something I hadn't done since the breakup began. I stopped playing defense. First, I went to the building manager. I calmly explained everything: Zoe's name, our history, the break-in risk, the lies being spread. I asked to add a note on file in case of any future disturbances. The manager, a no-nonsense woman named Denise, nodded once and said, "Already heard some noise. I'll escalate it to legal. You're covered." Step 1, secured. Next, I gathered every piece of documentation I had: texts, photos, payment records, the notarized car title, even the insurance policy. Then I reached out to the same lawyer who'd helped me send the cease and desist warning earlier. I explained the new accusation. His response was sharp and immediate. "We'll draft a formal letter demanding a public retraction. If she continues defamation, we'll proceed with a civil claim for damages. You have everything you need to prove she's lying." I can't describe what that felt like, to hear someone, finally, say I had the upper hand. Step 2, pressure applied. Then came the part that felt the most powerful. I logged into Instagram. For weeks, I'd stayed quiet while Zoe told her story in whispers and curated captions. I hadn't clapped back. I hadn't posted a word. But this time, I wrote something simple and direct. There's been a lot of talk lately. I stayed silent out of respect, but silence can be dangerous when lies start to fill the space. So here it is. I was asked not to contact someone. I respected that. While I waited, she went on a vacation with her ex-husband, came back, and expected nothing to have changed. When it did, she chose to rewrite the story. I have proof of everything. I won't post it unless I have to, but I will not be painted as someone I'm not. Not now. Not ever. I didn't name her. I didn't mention the car. I didn't need to. The story had already spread, and this post was the pin to pop the illusion. Within hours, the messages started rolling in. Some people apologized, some backed off, some stayed silent, and that was fine. I wasn't writing for them. I was writing for me, and that's when the twist hit. Late that night, I got a call from Maddie. Remember her? Zoe's best friend, the one who called her out on my doorstep? I hadn't spoken to her since then. She sounded tense, almost like she didn't want to say what she was about to say. "I wasn't sure if I should tell you this," she said, "but Zoe's planning something. Like legal sounding. She's talking about filing a report." I froze. "Wait, filing what kind of report?" Maddie hesitated. "She said she has proof. A bruise. From the day she came back. She's saying it happened when you slammed the door on her wrist." I felt like the floor dropped out from under me again. I hadn't touched her. I didn't even open the door enough to let her inside. And suddenly, I realized she'd planned it. She wanted me to open the door wide enough. Maybe step outside, maybe argue, maybe lose my temper. But when I didn't, she made something up. I didn't know whether to laugh or throw up. And then Maddie said something that chilled me. "I think she's going to try to file a police report. Frame it like emotional abuse. Build a record. So when you defend yourself, it looks like retaliation." I didn't speak. I couldn't. Callan, I know you didn't do it. But if she moves forward, she might really mess up your life." I whispered, "Thank you," and hung up. That night, I wrote down every detail of that confrontation. I time-stamped the call. I saved security cam footage from the hallway outside my door. Grainy, but clear. She never got close enough for me to touch her. She barely even crossed the threshold. I sent it all to my lawyer. The next day, I took one more step. I called Micah. "Yeah, him again." "Look," I said. "She's trying to build a case. If she drags you in, you might want to cover yourself too." He was quiet. Then he said something that made my stomach twist. "She's already trying. She asked me to say I saw a bruise on her arm when she came back from your place. I told her no, then she blocked me." I hung up, my hands cold. She wasn't spiraling anymore. She was orchestrating. And I finally understood. This wasn't just betrayal. It wasn't just heartbreak. It was a calculated attempt to destroy me. And this time, I wasn't just going to protect myself. I was going to end this. The morning the detective called me, I was folding laundry. That's how it always happens, right? Life feels almost normal, routine even, until the past barges back in with a phone call and a badge number. Mr. Hale, I'm following up on a report filed last week by a Miss Zoe Tannen. She alleges there was an incident at your residence involving physical contact. We're conducting a preliminary review. I felt my stomach drop, but I kept my voice even. She's claiming I hurt her? Yes. Says you slammed a door on her wrist. She provided photos of bruising and mentioned a witness. Did she give a name for that witness? A pause. Someone named Maddie Colburn. I almost laughed. Then I suggest you call Maddie, because she was the one who told me Zoe was planning this. I also have building security footage and a written timeline of that day. I never touched her. The detective was professional, polite. We'll definitely want to review anything you're willing to provide. If what you're saying checks out, this likely won't go further. I sent everything that afternoon. The footage, the texts, even a voice memo I'd recorded the night of the confrontation, capturing the muffled shouting outside my door. My lawyer drafted a letter the next day, not just denying the claim, but warning Zoe that a false report was a criminal offense. Then the call stopped. For a while, it was just quiet, until the collapse began. First came the message from Maddie. She's spiraling, word spreading that she lied to the police. Her mom's trying to cover it up, but nobody's buying it. Then a friend of mine from a local nonprofit, one where Zoe had been freelancing, sent me a screenshot of an internal email. The board had been informed of integrity concerns, and Zoe's contract was under review. And a week later, the bomb dropped. Micah filed a restraining order. She'd shown up at his place again, screaming, throwing things, demanding he fix the damage to her reputation. He recorded the entire thing on his doorbell cam. Once that footage circulated, it was over. Zoe didn't just lose a relationship. She didn't just lose her job. She lost the illusion she'd worked so hard to maintain. People saw her clearly now. Not the broken woman healing from trauma, but a manipulator who weaponized pity, sympathy, and softness and thought no one would ever push back. I didn't gloat. I didn't post follow-ups. I didn't cheer. I repainted my apartment. I replaced the tea mugs. I let the silence become peace again, until one day I got a letter. Not a message, not a call. A literal handwritten letter in a pale blue envelope dropped in my mailbox with no return address. It was from Zoe. It wasn't an apology. It was a justification. She blamed her state of mind, her confusion, said she never meant to hurt me like this, but I pushed her to the edge when I shut her out. She asked if I could help set the record straight so she could get work again. I folded the letter once, slid it back into the envelope, and dropped it straight into the shredder. That night, I took the longest walk I'd taken in months. No phone, no music, just air and distance. Because that was the moment I finally understood something. Closure doesn't always come from an apology. Sometimes it comes from seeing the truth and walking away from it without needing to scream. Zoe didn't ruin me. She revealed me. She showed me who I'd become when pushed. Not a victim, not a doormat, but a man who could face manipulation, deceit, and calculated cruelty, and still choose dignity. And she showed me who she was, without the mask, without the narrative, without the spotlight. And now the silence is real. Not forced, not painful, just peaceful. Some wounds don't scar on the surface. They live deep, where the trust used to be. But healing begins the second we stop begging someone else to validate our pain. If you've ever been made to feel like your truth didn't matter, or that telling it would only make things worse, please share. I'd love to hear your story in the comments. And if any part of mine helped you feel less alone, I hope you'll stick around. We heal better when we heal together.